Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the major earthquake faults on Earth decided to have a party and all ruptured at the exact same time? It sounds like something straight out of a disaster movie, right? But let's actually break down the science behind this what-if scenario. It's a wild thought experiment that tells us a lot about how our planet works. So grab a seat, and let's dive into the hypothetical chaos of a global superquake. First, let's get a quick refresher on what fault lines are. Imagine the Earth's crust isn't one solid shell. It's broken up into massive pieces called tectonic plates, kind of like a cracked eggshell. These plates are constantly moving, grinding past each other, pulling apart, or crashing into one another. The lines where these plates meet are called fault lines. The stress that builds up along these faults is what eventually causes earthquakes when it's suddenly released. We've got huge ones like the San Andreas Fault in California, the fault system that created the Himalayas, and the infamous Ring of Fire that circles the Pacific Ocean, home to about 90% of the world's earthquakes. Now let's set the stage for our global event. Picture this: the Pacific Ring of Fire, the alpine Himalayan belt that stretches from Europe to Asia, and the mid-Atlantic ridge all let go simultaneously. What happens first? The ground beneath your feet would start to shake, not just in one place, but everywhere. This isn't your typical earthquake that lasts for a few seconds or a minute. We're talking about a sustained, violent global tremor that could go on for minutes, maybe even hours, as the energy reverberates around the planet. The initial shaking would be catastrophic. The magnitude of such an event would be almost unimaginable, far beyond anything we've ever recorded. To put it in perspective, the largest earthquake ever recorded was a magnitude 9.5 in Chile in 1960. A simultaneous global rupture would release energy thousands, if not millions, of times greater. Buildings, bridges, roads, basically our entire modern infrastructure, would crumble. Even structures designed to be earthquake-resistant would be pushed far beyond their limits. Cities would be reduced to rubble in minutes. But the shaking is just the beginning. The real nightmare starts with the secondary effects. Let's talk about tsunamis. When the ocean floor suddenly shifts, it displaces a colossal amount of water, creating massive waves. With every major underwater fault line rupturing, we wouldn't just get one tsunami, we'd get mega-tsunamis originating from every ocean. These waves, traveling at the speed of a jetliner, would be hundreds of feet high. They would surge inland for miles, wiping out every coastal city on the planet. From New York to Tokyo, London to Sydney, no coastline would be safe. The sheer force of the water would scour the land clean. Next up, volcanoes. Tectonic plates and volcanic activity are closely linked. The sudden, violent shifting of the Earth's crust would be like shaking a soda can. It would trigger volcanic eruptions on a global scale. Volcanoes that have been dormant for centuries would roar back to life. The Ring of Fire, which is already home to 75% of the world's active volcanoes, would become a literal ring of fire. Massive plumes of ash, gas, and dust would be ejected into the atmosphere. This brings us to the long-term atmospheric effects. The sky would darken globally. The sheer volume of volcanic ash and dust would block out the sun, plunging the Earth into a volcanic winter. Temperatures would plummet dramatically. This isn't just a few chilly days, we're talking about a sustained, planet-wide deep freeze that could last for years. Photosynthesis would grind to a halt. Plants would die, crops would fail, and the entire global food chain would collapse both on land and in the oceans. The air itself would become toxic. Volcanoes release huge amounts of sulfur dioxide, which reacts with water in the atmosphere to form sulfuric acid. This would fall back to Earth as acid rain, poisoning water supplies, killing forests, and making the environment even more hostile to any surviving life. The very air we breathe would be a hazard. So, could humanity survive this? It's a bleak picture. The initial event, the shaking, tsunamis, and eruptions, would likely wipe out a huge percentage of the global population almost instantly. For the few who might survive in deep underground bunkers or remote high-altitude inland locations, the challenges would just be beginning. They would face a dark, frozen, and toxic world with no infrastructure, no food supply, and no easy way to communicate or travel. It would be a fight for survival in the truest sense of the word. Now, before you start packing your survival kit, let's take a deep breath. The good news is that this scenario is purely hypothetical and, for all practical purposes, impossible. Why? Because the Earth's fault systems are not connected in a way that would allow for a simultaneous, global chain reaction. The stress that builds up and releases in one area, say Japan, is largely independent of the stress building up in another, like South America. The geology just doesn't work that way. An earthquake in one place can sometimes trigger smaller aftershocks, or even another quake on a nearby fault. But a domino effect that spans the entire globe is firmly in the realm of science fiction. So why even think about it? Because this extreme thought experiment is a powerful tool. It helps us appreciate the immense forces at play beneath our feet every single day. It underscores the importance of earthquake preparedness, scientific research, and understanding our planet. It reminds us that while Earth can be a volatile place, the systems that govern it are also what make it a dynamic, living world. It's a humbling reminder of how small we are in the face of planetary geology, but also how resilient and incredible our world truly is. Thinking about these catastrophic what-ifs isn't meant to scare you. It's about sparking curiosity and gaining a deeper respect for the planet we call home. The forces that could theoretically tear it apart are the very same ones that created the mountains we climb and the oceans we explore. It's a delicate and powerful balance. Thanks so much for watching and exploring this mind-bending scenario with me. What other planetary what-ifs are you curious about? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about our amazing world, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.